People who want to be and remain individuals should just date and should not try to go further than dating. You should just stay in a dating relationship and not try to be somebody's wife, because
there is great wisdom in being able to come together and build something that actually has substance and has the capacity to last further than you. Party people, YouTube land, wherever you're watching this, what's happening? It's your boy Grape Juice, aka Sean Walker, Coach Sean Walker in the building, man. I'm excited because this is going to be something that is refreshing, diving right into some reaction content of all kinds of stuff that's going around, diving into theology, relationships, you name it, we're talking about it. And this is the platform to just have a good time with it. So with me is none other than Coach Demetrius Colbert, a pastor, husband, father, leader in all kinds of areas, a wonderful man and a man of God at that. And we're excited to just dive into this. So Coach, won't you go ahead and introduce yourself, man?
Yeah, hey, it's super good to be here, especially with Sean. I have been connected with Sean for pretty much almost about 4 years now. We've just been having some really good conversations over the course of our time together. We've just evolved. It's become more of a relationship, and with some mutual respect and admiration for where he is as a younger man, and for me as a middle-aged man. And so we're hopping on here not because we think alike, but because we have some things that we feel like are very pertinent and important to discuss about culture. So we are Christians, and so our opportunity to discuss theologically, to ask things biblically, to find out if things are extra biblical, if they're right, and really to ask ourselves the question, is this what we're seeing, is this right, and does this fit Christians? Because there's a lot of cultural stuff that a lot of Christians take on personally for themselves, and we're having to ask the question, does that fit our narrative as believers, and this is something that we should follow? So as we review these videos, we're just going to have some basic conversation around them to see what we could pull out of them, and know that our opinions are just our opinions, but we'd love for you to interact with the page, hear your thoughts and ideals around these things as we do the same. But I'm super excited to be able to do this with Sean on a regular basis, so we can have some good discussions around these things that just kind of float out there without any context.
Heck yeah, I love it. And our mission here is to bring Christ to culture. So this is where this is going to be. So
that should be every Christian's mission.
I love it. I love it. So let's look at this video, man, and see what comes out on it. Talking about the duty of man.
You say duty as a man to provide. Part of that is right. The other part of it that you're missing is you're not providing for a woman. You're providing a means. So
what's the difference?
You don't come to my table and I don't come to your table. We create a table. So then what happens with that, when that marriage, is that even if I am here or I'm not here, you know what to do. If all I do is give you the money, and all I do is go out to get the money, and I am not here no more, I am crippling you.
Yes.
I need to get you on the table with me so that the table's created, so that no matter what happens, leg is done, I lapse brain, whatever else, you know what to do. Partnership. What that means financially is that you don't bring money and I don't bring money. What it is that whoever can do what we need to do to create an environment where you can make the money and it comes back to us, then it's fine. Listen to this.
Hey, okay. I'm with that. I like that a lot. I want to look at some of these comments though. These kind of videos are always interesting to me, not for the content itself, but for the comment section, y'all. Like this is so interesting. So this first one, did this for someone and she grew wings. Never again. Right? He's sold on that. Okay. Bro speaking in caps in his eyes, but he's spitting facts. Brother's educational. He's speaking so much facts. Just I don't know what that's about. Just like a pride of lions. The lions provide vast environment for hunting, where he and his lioness can hunt down and prey. You know, some kind of connection there. A lot of preaches. This is real. You know, we provide the seeds, you plant the trees, teach her to invest, to up her skill set, introduce her to connection you create. I totally agree, but it goes both ways. Now that's interesting. He said he's speaking 2 languages, English and the truth. Uh,
Right.
God bless you. Agree. So there's a lot of agreement here. But what's so interesting to me, PD, and I know you've seen quite a bit of a lot of the stuff that obviously we've shared. This does not seem to be a prevalent take in culture. This idea of partnership, coming together. I got to show you not just bring you the substance, but actually show you how to create it and doing all that. So what's your initial reaction to this entire thought?
Yeah, so good stuff, man. I happen to agree with the majority of what he said. My initial thoughts are on this, Sean. My initial thoughts on this are he's right, but he's speaking to a culture now that doesn't embrace messages like this. We're speaking to a culture where definitions in terms of pills, what color pill you are, women saying that they're boss babes now. This message is hard for a lot of people to receive because in the name of advancement, in the name of going forward and growing forward, most people reject this. Most women are going to reject this. So what he said was so profound when he says, no, we create a table. So for me, he's saying something that is biblical, but it's going to be rejected largely by a culture who says, no, I got my own. I don't necessarily need that, or I need you to be this person. Hence, we've seen in all these videos that have been going on social media too. What have we seen? We've seen a whole bunch of people like, oh, you taking me to Cheesecake Factory. Oh, you taking me here. You taking me to eat there, right? And so what you got going on, man, is this idea that, you know, this is only what you are good for. But he's like, no, I want to give you a bigger picture. So if I'm not here, what we made can still survive. This is legacy talk. This is a conversation, Sean, that a lot of people don't want to have, and they struggle with it, to be quite honest with you, because it is so foreign to today, because everybody's trying to be an individual while they're trying to actually be together.
I guess the question then becomes, how do we balance an individual with their connection to growing a partnership with somebody? Still honing who you are, what you're doing, what you've got your hands to, while also trying to make a connection with somebody. Because what it sounds like, because I can almost hear a lot of what culture would throw towards this, right? Well, you know, I mean, but what about the women? The women can do it too. Or no, I need everything to be put together. I'm not interested in coming in and building no man and creating no man and all those kinds of aspects. How does that even align with this perspective in terms of the adjustments to make to create a partnership while still honing your individualistic perspective that you're bringing into the relationship? You've already made the status, you've made the money, you've made this, you've made that. Now it's about coming together. How do you still balance that, if at all?
I don't think it's possible, Sean, just to be pretty blunt with you, straightforward to you. I don't think it's possible. I think that people who want to be and remain individuals should just date and should not try to go further than dating. You should just stay in a dating relationship and not try to be somebody's wife. Because if a man wants to get married, he's looking for a wife. He's not looking for a boss babe. We're not intimidated by your money. We're not intimidated by your come up. We're not intimidated by the car you drive, the house you got before us, without us. We're not intimidated by the hair you buy, the nails you get. We're not intimidated by the trips you take, the girlfriends that you hang out with, the status that you have, your title at work. When I'm saying I want to marry you, I'm looking for a woman to be in my home, somebody who I can build a life with, somebody who I can go forward with. I don't care about all those other things, because if those things go away, then who are we at the end of the day? Who are we? Does our definition of who we are change? Because if we got married because of all of those things, then we didn't know who we were in the first place. And we allowed for the outside things to determine who we were supposed to be. And it's not something that's sustainable, because you know what? People get sick, people die, people go through struggles, people do all kinds of stuff, man, in life. And the relationship has to be built, Sean, on something that's much greater than that. That's why he says, no, we create a table. Everybody eats from this table. Let me take you one further. Proverbs 31 woman was a cold-blooded woman. She was cold-blooded. She was off the charts, as a matter of fact. In fact, she was so cold that the scripture says that because of her, that her husband was known in the city gates. So while her husband may have been the presence in the city gates, they knew that his wife, was the one who assisted him and being known. This didn't take away from her. It enhanced who she was. It made you understand who they were together. And because of who she was, they were the true original power couple, to be quite honest with you.
I love that. I think I would second a lot of what you said. I think what I've noticed is a lot of young men, especially in the format of dating or just thinking of what marriage could possibly look like for themselves. This perspective has been one of many that's difficult to swallow, because you have a world that's really spitting toxic messages that in order to be looked up to, you've got to knock her off her pedestal. And in order to be the alpha, right, you got to have all of these qualities about you, the status, the wealth, the gains, all those things to make you wanted. And then you're going to actually have value in the sex market, in the market dating space, to then be able to make your move and choose whoever you want and be able to go with it. There's a lot of just toxicity that's roaming around, and there's very few messages that are spit like this to where it's actually digestible and it's something that can actually be done. Like there's not again, and we've talked about this on other platforms. If you guys are interested, we've got an entire platform on YouTube, Daily Dose channel, where we have gone through, it's called The Truth Project. We've had numerous conversations there. Link will be in the description for you guys to check this out. But you know, we've reacted to a lot of statistics about where men are in this culture, that in today's culture, men have never been more more depressed, never have been more filled with anxiety, less money, and less success overall than before. Right. And so these positions, man, I think that many are taking from a red pill perspective, from a broken perspective. I'm gonna just keep it a buck because I do think it's broken. It comes from broken places, broken hearts, broken spirits. You're rushing that into the ears and minds of men that aren't advancing. And now you feel as if you have to have all these things prior to coming into a marriage or relationship. When in reality, I do think that the true inheritance isn't necessarily the money that you already have to create the relationship. It's the mindset and the skill set to create it before it, in it, and through it, that actually will breed a lot of success for you. So here's the scripture. Y'all asking where the Bible's at? I got you. It's coming. Here's a scripture that I have in mind from this, man, that I just think is so beautiful. Proverbs 13:22 says, "A good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children, but a sinner's wealth is stored up for the righteous." Of course, in connection to the B clause of this, we automatically assume that the inheritance is only the wealth. But if you actually look through the whole entire book of Proverbs, wisdom is the wealth. Wisdom, understanding, the patience, the fruit of the spirit, all these things that are actually where the wealth comes from. And when we actually are able to instill this into the people that we encounter, instead of just giving you the final product, you will actually be able to create more than the initial final product I could ever offer you up in the first place. You are actually being put in a better position than perhaps how you were first introduced to what I gave you. So if I came to you with the wealth, not only will I come to you with that, I'll also show you what steps, what principalities, what practices you need to instill to create this in a way that's God honoring and not fleshly honoring, in a way that is kingdom principle set and not selfish centered, not this idea of me, and receive, but this aspect of giving from a place of love, from a place of understanding, and most importantly, from a place of willing to build in the kingdom for and through the kingdom. A good person leaves an inheritance for their children's children. So even if it's not the finances that are there yet, you still have something in you that's worth depositing to people after you and before you that will go so much further than anything that can do. I had a conversation, this last thing I'll say, this is where it really connects for me. I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and we were talking about a lot of the finances. We were having some conversations there, and I just asked him a question. I said, man, you know, one thing, or I led with a statement, then asked a question. I said, one thing I've never really heard in the many funerals that I've attended, in a young life that I've been a part of, is somebody getting up there and saying that they wish the person that is now gone made more money. I have never heard of somebody who got up on there and said, man, I wish that brother just had a little bit more inheritance, had a little bit more money, had a little bit more status, And you know what? Maybe this would have been a little bit more honorable. You know what I have heard is that this individual, who they were as a person and what they deposited into the people that were speaking on their name, on their character, on their reputation, who they were as a person, as long as they lived in this life, which easily goes so much further than maybe anything that they may have left behind. Not to diminish what they left behind in terms of the inheritance, but just showing the more importance of what was deposited into the people that are speaking for them. And he responded, he said, well, I could think, to play devil's advocate, I've seen people who, when the breadwinner has gone, have struggled financially. I said, that's a great point, but do you really want to know what I think could be the reason why that is? Because perhaps that individual all they did was just bring the bacon home, but they didn't show you how to cook it. All they did was bring to you the finances, the wealth, and all that kind of stuff, but they did not put you through a actual process of understanding how to do this, what to do when this happens, what to do when this fails, and showing you a blueprint to not just have it, but to create it for yourself, so that when they leave, you're not left stranded. So I asked the question, I said, what's more better for you to bring home the dream number of money that would make you and your family comfortable before you go? Or would it be for you to instill some wisdom and understanding along the way, so that when you go, because we'll all go at some point, you're leaving something behind for them to actually build off of, instead of just having what you left in remains and nothing more. Yeah. And we got into a really good conversation off of that, into which his response was, yeah, it just kind of makes sense. And then we kind of trailed off into some other places. The point in all of that is that there is great wisdom in being able to come together and build something that actually has substance and has the capacity to last further than you. And if it actually is the right person that you're connected to, because I saw the first comment, that's all I'm thinking about. Man, I did that and she grew wings and left. Well, if it's the right person, right? If it's the right person, then they are going to not just willingly build that with you, but actually be with you to depart it and to import it, to invest it into the lives that you create with them and around you. And I think that is something to just consider, that not everybody is just in it to hurt you, to build with you, and then leave you. Somebody who does that, actually, there were signs prior to that you may have been able to pick up on, if you're honest with yourself, that would have let you know that this person wasn't the right person that you could have done that with for a lifetime. And I think there's a lot to partnership, building it, and more than just money that's worth building.
More than likely, they saw something. Here's a couple of things, Sean, I think that we're assuming. If you're watching this, we're assuming that you are in pursuit of the Lord, because we're Christians. So again, we're taking biblical framework while looking at things in culture, and again, comparing and contrasting and saying, does this fit those narratives? Well, for the believer, what he said does fit. And so you might be watching this and saying, nah, I'm good. This isn't for you. But for those of you who are believers, there's what Sean just said. There's a bunch of nuggets in there, and the one nugget that I want to pull out is that you should do so much. Your courting process is the time for you to discover whether or not you're marrying a builder or someone who just has big dreams and wants to be known and wants to climb to some status in life. We're not taking enough time, folks, to sit with people, to learn who those people are, and to understand what their long-term desires are. Because truthfully, Sean, somebody's instant question is going to be if it's the right person. This person who wrote that probably said, I thought I had the right person. We traveled here, I mean, we've seen it happen. People said like, hey, this person built this with me. And then when I got here, they were like, all right, cool. Now I'm ready to go do my own thing. I supported you, but I don't really want to be in this relationship anymore. I got the means. I have access to things. I'm going to move on. Does this happen? Absolutely, it happens. But here's what I want to tell you. Let's focus on not thinking about whether it'll happen or not, Sean, and be more focused on how you want to live this out, right? Like the understanding of it. This is, and that's part of the problem. So we need to talk about both sides because there needs to be balance. But truthfully, Sean, I think it's more important for people to understand the messaging that this man was talking about, what he was saying. Hey, let's you and I build a table. There's something special about that. Let's you and I. And for context, Sean is not married and is 23, 24.
24. Yes, sir.
I am married and have been for 32 years almost, and I'm 54. And so here's the thing. So we got a 30-year difference, right, between us. And here's the thing that I want you to understand. Sean and I have talked about this off and on, and we've talked about his relationship that he's had, and we've talked about my marriage. And again, compared and contrast. That's why we feel like we're both good to be on here. I'm gonna give you some of the middle-aged stuff with some time. Sean's going to give you some of the current stuff, right, with scenarios and situations that are going on around many of these subjects that we talk about. The reality is I've told Sean, and Sean's parents have been married, I believe, also too, up into their 20-something plus years. Let me explain something to you guys. I set out to build something with somebody. I didn't set out to see if it was going to work. The table that he talked about, that's what I wanted. Recently, my wife lost her father like last Tuesday, a week ago today, actually. Here's what the reality is. He set his family up for his family to be taken care of, him personally, and for his family to be taken care of. This is the table that he's talking about. This is the building of the table. He's no longer here, but his family is just fine, right? His wife, who's 76, she's just fine. The kids are just fine. Everybody's fine. There's no burden on anybody. There's none of that. His house, his care, all of those things were taken care of. This is the table that this man is talking about. This is what many of us don't get, because we talking about, well, I need to get the bag and this, that, and the other. Okay, get the bag. Get the bag, but build the table in the process of getting the bag. Can two people, Sean, can somebody have the mentality of a woman who's saying, I got my own, I don't need you? Then a man is going to be confused as to why he's even with you when you say, I don't really need you except for this thing right here. We're going to be confused over that, because most men, when they make the commitment to marry, he's making a commitment to build something. It's a part of his legacy. May not be the way that women think. In fact, I don't necessarily believe that women think down that pathway necessarily about their legacy. But when men say I do, which is why it's hard for them to do it in the first place, it's because they're thinking in legacy terms. Like, if I'm gonna say I do, I'm thinking in terms of what will be left after I have departed this life. What will happen? And so I think that's really important. But I think that we have to be in a position, Sean, with these kind of scenarios and situations, man, where believers recognize that the two shall become one. And I think that we spend more time talking about what it means to be a man and what it means to be a woman, and less time what it means to be sons and daughters of God. I think that we should aim more to be sons and daughters of God, and embrace his character, and embrace who he is, his integrity, and embrace the things that we see that come from God and from the work of the Spirit in our lives, and then be able to move accordingly. I don't think that we should spend all of our time focusing on being male or female. I think that we should focus more on being sons and daughters and be obedient to what God said. It is then that I think that we get silly arguments batted down to the ground, and then we understand our obligation is first and foremost to the Father, who informs us of what it means for me to be a husband, what it means for me to be a wife. I feel like we're not having conversations about what it means to be a husband and wife, but we put a more emphasis on male and female and what you need to do for me and who I need to be and who you need to be. And I think we get lost in a lot of that.
Yeah, I like a lot of that, man. I honestly don't even think I have too much to add to that. Here's the one question that I think could easily have a settling place for this entire conversation that I would love your thoughts on. If we are to come together and look for somebody who's a builder and to build the table, instead of continuously asking other people, what do they bring to the table, right? What is it that we should be willing to contribute to the aspect of building the table? So as a man, and so building the table versus what the question of what do you bring to the table, right? How is it, if we're going to come to a place of being willing to build the table, what are the few things that you would say we need to bring as men in order to contribute to building it?
Character, integrity, vision, right? I think so. Those three things right there are the most important things. You need to have character to be able to sustain somebody else's daughter that you said, I'm going to marry them.
Mm-hmm.
Your character needs to be there, right? Your integrity. You need to be a follow-through person. I'm going to do what I said I'm going to do. This does not mean that some things won't work out and you have to change, even course correct or pivot in the middle of doing what you're doing. This does not mean that. So I don't want people to take that. And then vision. You got to have some vision, Sean. You to tell somebody, come follow me. Come when you tell a man, hey, sir, I want to take your daughter's hand in marriage. My youngest daughter is getting married next month. And these young men all came to me to ask me. All of my kids are married except for this one. And that'll be next month. And so the reality of it is, Sean, is that my question to each of these men was, what can you do for her that I'm currently doing now? That was my question. Because you're telling me, hey, man, I appreciate you. I got it from here. There's got to be a vision for that. What does that look like? And you can't just tell me, well, I love her. So, no. Even if your plan doesn't work, what is your plan? Tell me what your plan is. Tell me where you're going. Tell me how you're going to build this life. Tell me, because I get that you love her because you're asking her to marry you. But tell me how you're going to build this life after that. So I think that we need to bring character, integrity, and vision. Because here's what comes with character, integrity, and vision. When you have character, you're going to do the right thing in private and in public. When you have integrity, right, you're going to do the right thing in private and in public. When you have vision, your vision will be seen in private and in public, right? People will know it. The people who know you intimately, they will know where you're going. The people who don't know you so much will see the fruit from your life also, Sean, and it will shine. What comes with that? That means finances come with that. Homes come with that. Provision comes with that. Protection comes with that. See, we like to start with all of those things, but really the key ingredients to me are those three things: your character, your integrity, and your vision. As a man, I think that you need to have those things, because interwoven in those things, Sean, are all the other things, from protection to guidance and all this other kind of good stuff. Also, your prayer, that comes with prayer. A man of character is a man of prayer. A man of integrity is a man of prayer. So I don't have to say you got to be a man of prayer. If you have these attributes, you got to be a man of prayer. That's just telling me that you're a man of prayer. You're not trusting yourself. You're saying, again, to take somebody's daughter and say, I got it. You need some divine help.
I love all that. I think even to add to that, man, I think how you get to those places, first and foremost, is self-awareness. Self-awareness ought to lead you to a place of repentance. And that ought to lead you to a place of getting connected to God, to having a stronger spiritual foundation in your life, to understand more of who you're called to be and where you're called to go as a result. Self-awareness, by definition, I'm going to take this from one of my coaches. He's amazing. Is knowing who you are, where you are, and what you're doing. 100%. And you acknowledge that and you're honest about that. If you are genuinely wanting to see different results in your life, it starts by self-awareness, making a full repentance and turning from those decisions that have created such fruit in your life that is not beneficial, to actually beginning to put things in place that will actually create beneficial fruit in your life. Because if there's one thing that a relationship requires out of an abundance of things that we could possibly list, if you really want to enter into one and maintain one, if you want to actually provide and be able to maintain the table that you are looking to invest and create with someone else, it is mandatory that character and integrity is a part of the deal. Because if you do not have that, you are not only drawing a rift into the relationship, but you are participating in the toxicity that you are inviting to that environment. And you are going to be a major reason why the table is not built in the first place. 100%. And that can't happen. 100%. So if you are genuinely wanting to create a life like this, it requires you to be honest about where you are so that you can begin making different decisions as you move forward. And if you really want to get healed in those spaces, it's just what's necessary. And you've got to be willing to take those decisions. So I love that. I think the whole conversation of building a table versus what do you bring to the table, you're going to learn a lot about individuals, men and women, who feel like there can be a sense of entitlement. There can also just be a sense of ignorance and unawareness to the fact that not everything is going to be put together when you come into somebody else's life. And this is a process, not saying that you have to build to the point where this ninja has no credit score or this ninja's terrible with all kinds of different things. We want to be wise in those situations, but also know that in order to get to the life you envision with this person, you're going to have to participate. You're going to have to invest.
Yeah.
And you're going to have to put yourself in positions to build with this individual that takes vulnerability and takes you willingly journeying through this long suffering in love.
Well said, because that's exactly what it is. It's long suffering in love. And it goes both ways.
Absolutely.
Okay? It goes both ways. What she brings to the table, I need to be able to take and use it the way that God put me together and then make something with it. What I bring to the table, she also needs to be able to do the same thing. Our kids eat, our grandkids eat, and the people behind us eat, all because of what we decided to bring to the table together to work together on. Just that simple. And if you're not willing to invest in somebody, I'll even say this, the last thing I'll say. If you're not willing to invest, Sean, into somebody who may have a poor credit score, but is working on that credit score and they're building themselves there, they have disciplines and stuff like that in their lives.
Absolutely.
They're not somebody necessarily to throw away. Perhaps you already got it good. So again, why wouldn't you be open to investing in a good person who maybe just made some mistakes and or probably didn't have the knowledge or the access to knowledge that you have. So now you're going to build something with somebody. We have a hard time being redeemers, man, and redemption is God's heart. We have a really hard time redeeming people because we want everything to come. We want to go to the drive-through, order it on the screen, or matter of fact, we don't even want to order it on the screen now. We want to just put it on the app and then have it delivered. We want it to be perfect. And nobody wants to do any work now. So culture has also informed us, I don't need to do any work. You need to come perfect. And then once they get with them for a little while, him or her, and they find out that him or her aren't perfect, then they start saying, man, I got to go look for this person that quite frankly doesn't exist.
Right. I like that. And I like that a lot. And again, and for me, it was more so of just being cognizant of what you're getting into. Right. So understanding what you're getting into, but also noting that, man, there's some people in some gyms that you're actually passing up on that are probably in some way, shape, or form around you right now that you are just overlooking because they aren't the imaginary person that you wish existed and just doesn't.
Agreed.
And there is so much value, man, even though they don't have all the boxes checked. Do they have the right boxes checked in order for you to actually commit and build something here? Because there's just value to building with vision. If that person has vision, that person has character, integrity. That is somebody that when you have kids, you would look to and say, this is the type of person I want you to invest your time into. This is the type of person that I want you to if you come around, yeah, I would recommend this type of individual, not because of what he has, what she has, but because of who he is and how they navigate and move in life. Man, I just think that there's so much value to that. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people who are struggling in their relationships because they want it perfect, as you mentioned, and want to attach their name to an already finished group project instead of actually investing and creating with that individual. So those are my last thoughts. If you had any more, go for it. Yeah, I love it. So listen, this is one of many. All right. There's so much more on the way as we continue to connect Christ to culture and bringing a lot of Christian-like perspectives to culture to help you navigate through it in a healthy, balanced way. If you like this, be sure to subscribe, like this video, and turn on the post notifications so you know the next time we're posting. We got content coming out, more and more on the way. And until next time, be easy and be breezy. Peace.
Peace.